So hello everyone. Now we are going to start our module 3, that is the core compute services. In our previous videos, we have discussed about virtualization, we have discussed about containerization, cloud infrastructure, everything we have already discussed. Okay. So now we are going to start about core compute services. So what is core compute services? A core cloud service are the fundamental offerings provided by the cloud platform like AWS, Azure, and GCP. These are the fundamental offers that a cloud provider gives us. Like provider, AWS, Azure, and GCP. These services enable to build, deploy, and manage applications without the need of on-prem infrastructure. As we discussed many times regarding the cloud computing, the benefit of cloud computing, you need not to set up any infra at your end. It will be managed by the cloud provider, and you just have to create, build, deploy, and manage your applications there. Okay. So now we will go for some basic services and basic categories of that. So very first is a compute category that come under the cloud core services. Compute, storage, then networking part of that, and database that we will discuss it. We mean many more services, but right now basically we discuss all these categories one by one. Okay. So whatever it is, like in AWS, the compute category is the EC2. In case of Azure, it's called virtual machine. In case of Google Cloud Platform, it's known as the compute engine. Similarly, for the storage, in case of AWS, it's called S3. Okay. In case of Azure, it's called blob storage. And in case of GCP, it's called cold storage. So in this way, we will discuss everything one by one, rather than keep discussing all one time. Okay. So what is the main thing that you have to mind? Each cloud provider offers a comprehensive suite of cloud services with a unique feature and integration. Every service provides that. Either Microsoft or Azure or GCP all provide like compute services, all provide storage, database, networking, all are providing that. But when choosing a provider, consider the factor. What factor you should consider? That I should go for either for the Amazon, either for the cloud, Microsoft Azure, or everything. So that is existing infrastructure. What the specific service feature does not mean that whatever the AWS services have, whatever the services AWS have, Azure have all the services. No. Sometimes service differs. One service is provided by the AWS, but another one is not providing that. The main thing is the pricing. You naturally compare the price rate. Regional availability means you should check that that particular service is available in your region from where you are working or not. Availability is must. Because if you take that service from some another region, from where it is available, it can create latency there in the service, or can be more cost. So it should be available in your region. So these are the main features that you have to check, that which provider is right for me. Either I have to choose Amazon, either I have to choose particular Azure or GCP. Got it? So right now we have to start with first service, first category, that is a core compute service offered by all the providers. Naturally, they are providing us infrastructure or compute resources. It is AWS, it's Azure, or it is GCP. Focusing on virtual machines, containers, and serverless. I think you all are familiar with these two terms. We have discussed many times regarding the virtual machines, and we have discussed in detail about containers, orchestration, Docker, Kubernetes. We have already discussed in our previous video. So please go through that video if you don't watch it. Otherwise, here it can be some problematic for you, can be some difficult for you to understand. So please must watch previous videos. Okay. So let's start one by one. First, I will show you the comparison. If you talk about the virtual machine, in case of AWS, Amazon EC2, Elastic Compute Cloud. In case of Azure, this service called virtual machine. Okay, I need one machine with this particular configuration. So same machine. In case of AWS, it's called EC2. In case of Azure, it's called virtual machine. In case of Google, it's called Google Cloud Engine, the compute engine. Okay? Thing is same. Name is different, given by the provider to the same service. Similarly, like container, it's called Amazon ECS, Amazon EKS, Amazon AWS Fargate. ECS stands for Elastic Containerization Service. EKS, Elastic Kubernetes Services. And one is the AWS Fargate. I think we need not to discuss about what is Kubernetes. I already discussed about the Docker, Kubernetes. We have already discussed in previous videos. But same thing when it comes to the Microsoft side, it's become Azure Kubernetes Services, AKS. And same thing if we take from the Google, it's called GKE, Google Kubernetes Service. So that's why I'm saying previous video is very important for you to understand, to watch it and understand it. If I'm saying AKS, means I'm talking about Microsoft Cloud. Azure. If I say EKS, means I'm talking about Amazon. Clear? Thing is same, containerization service. From which provider you are taking this service, depend on that. And one is a serverless computing. This is how it is possible without having a serverless computing. How the computing is possible without having a server? So what happened in this case? Try to understand. We have one application here. Okay, we write one application. Now we need not to worry about how much server we required, how much RAM, how much storage we required. Just write the application and hand over to the AWS Lambda service, for example. Now the provider will decide that to run this particular code, how much processors, RAM we require, or how much storage we require for it. You need not to worry about that. Cloud provider automatically decide on the base of your codes. That can be in the Python, Java, Ruby, Go language. There are so many languages that is support in this environment. Not all. Maximum it supports. So that is the meaning of serverless computing. Means you need not to worry about infrastructure. You just focus on your application. So we will discuss more about it. So in case of AWS, it's called Lambda. In case of Azure, it's called Azure Function. And same service in Google called same cloud Function. So these are the different names given to the same service in by the different provider. Hope got it. So now one by one we discuss all these categories. We will discuss about virtual machine, detailed overview. You know about virtual machines? I know. So in case of Amazon EC2, offer a wide range of instance types. Now, what is this instance word come here? EC2 is a service. Inside that, whatever the machine we design, whatever the virtual machine we created is known as the instance. Correct? The virtual machine created in Amazon environment, Amazon cloud, is known as the instance. Include general purpose, compute optimized, and memory optimized instance. Depending on your requirement, depending upon your need, what kind of application you want to run there, you can choose any type of instance there. Suppose a plan, I need to set up a database server. So in database server, a big database server, like in a bank, so many in and out requests is coming there. So in that case, naturally we choose memory optimized instance. One of the application you are running that is a CPU intensive. In that case, we choose the instance type of compute optimized. It's a normal one, we can choose the general purpose. In the next module, I will show you all these things practically. Okay. So EC2 provides flexibility with various operating system and pricing models. Now does not the limitation that you have to choose only Windows operating system. No, you can either choose Microsoft, either you can choose Linux or Ubuntu, whatever you want. You can also choose operating system according to your requirement. And depending on the use, Amazon gives different offers where you can choose your price. Okay. So next is the Azure Virtual Cloud, virtual machine. It also supports Windows and Linux operating system with different series tailored with specific workload. Same thing that I was discussing here, D series for general purpose. Okay, F series for compute optimized. Basic working is same, process is same. And one is the Google Compute Engine. Same thing for the Google environment. Same customizable VM with option for predefined custom machine type, allowing user to restore to their specific needs. Hope now it's clear to you about the compute VM or Amazon EC2 virtual machine and compute engine. Here. In case of EC2, you can create the machine according to your requirement. In case of Azure, Azure Virtual Machine, and in Google Cloud Compute Engine. Okay. So now move to the containers. Theoretically, we have discussed everything about the containers already. Here, just to introduce you with the new terms for the particular service, not to explain about the containers. We already have been discussed that. Different services like Kubernetes, Docker, we already have discussed that. So Amazon ECS, Elastic Containerized Service, and Elastic Kubernetes Service. So it is a fully managed container orchestration service, while EKS provides Kubernetes management. ECS orchestration service and EKS provides Kubernetes management. AWS Fargate, this is a new term for you, allows running container without managing server. What the Fargate do? It automatically maintains the containers, scale up the container, scale down the container that discussed previously. It automatically manages. Failover of that, it manages automatically. Resource optimization, utilization. Okay, bring up the new containers, bring down the unused containers. Everything is maintained by the Fargate. Same thing with the Azure Kubernetes services. In case of Azure Cloud, it also uses the Kubernetes. Amazon also using the Kubernetes to maintain, manage, create, delete, whatever do. Kubernetes service do that. But if Amazon is using, it is EKS. If Azure is using, that is the AKS. A managed Kubernetes services that simplify deploying, managing, and operating the Kubernetes cluster. Same thing. No need to repeat again and again. So Azure Container Instance offers quick deployment containers without managing the server. So here the Azure Container Instance is managing that. Here Fargate is managing that. Means orchestration. Here Fargate is doing the orchestration work. Here Container Instance is doing the same work. And last is the Google Kubernetes Engine. Here also the Kubernetes service to manage the cluster container. A managed Kubernetes service that offers the scalability and flexibility. So cloud run allow multiple containers in a serverless environment, handling infrastructure management automatically. So this is regarding the containerization service. Here you can see the diagram also. AWS Fargate, Azure Kubernetes Services, and Google Kubernetes Engine. Purpose is same, application deployment and using the resource efficient. That is all. Like in case of AWS, this resource efficiency is done by the efficiency is the responsive Fargate. Clear? And last is a serverless computing. For AWS, this service is known as the AWS Lambda service. Enables running code without provisioning or managing servers with automatic scaling. Only you have to be pay per use price. You just enable the code without provisioning or managing the server. That is done by the provider itself. Provider will manage that how much server resources you require to run this code. That's why we call it serverless. No provisioning of the server. In case of Microsoft Azure, it is the Azure function. provide event-driven serverless compute capability. Event-driven word is main here. I will discuss it. Support various programming languages and integrating with other Azure services. Event-driven means you hand over the code to the provider. Code is here. But why it's called event-driven? Code is keep silent here. As soon as some of the events occur regarding these codes, request comes here, only then execute the code. Otherwise, it is remains silent. Means AWS is not charging from you anything to put your code here. If some event hit this code and this code executed, Amazon or Azure or Cloud Function only charge for that particular time. It's good now. Why we are going for the EC2? Continuously we have to pay for 1 month charge. It cannot be a complete EC2. It is an event driven for small applications, for small functions. Even if you go in depth now, you cannot execute a code here which will take more than 15 minutes. Maximum 15-minute code you can run with the Lambda. Otherwise, it will terminate the code. If the execution time for that particular code is more than 15 minutes, it will not execute the code. Okay, so that is the beauty. Is you need not to worry about any provisioning there. And same thing is for the cloud function. In case of Google Cloud, purpose is same, function that respond to cloud events without the need of managing server, offering scaling, automatic scaling and pay-per-use pricing that I have discussed with you. So that is a serverless computing. Like serverless computing in AWS, Lambda, in Azure Functions, and in Google Cloud. All are event-driven, either AWS, either Microsoft Azure or Google Cloud. Event-driven, auto-scaling, no server management required from the user side. Hope clear? So, till it we have discussed everything about services, virtual machines, we discuss about containers, we discuss about serverless computing. Okay, so we have done all this. So in the next session, we will discuss about the cloud storage. So thank you.